must stalk the earth, has the world known so terrifying a day or night?
It's I who renounce you. In the name of Satan, I place a curse upon you.
Deep freeform, be warned, demon form engaged. Heat free range, me deranged, mad cow fawn. Heavy lies the crown worn. Wound forward, reanimated apocalypse warhorse at East Timor. Mortar kitty seesaw, 3 and 4. Beast of E-Hawk, war machine street talk. Heat forged, speech sword, bleed out morning. Corpse contorted on the lawn. Thoughts warped, a distorted Norman. Far from norm, McDonald, cannibal. Big Mac portion, microbes dwarven. Separate chromosomes in foes. Morphing, Morpheus slaughter. Fall of man in autumn. Blood sport Jordans. Jean-Claude Van Caution. Van Gogh scoring. Morphine, drawing. Godspeed storming. Greece lightning falling. Olympus daunting. Travolta culture smack absorbing. Sun gone, wonderland plunderborn. Ashes hot thunderblams in another land's war. Four-headed lions roar, the torch troops have spawned. For the fortunate few, return plunder on 4 horse, 4 broad Excalibur sword swoops. Torn you, rip tournament. Misfortunates face a minotaur in a metamorphosis suit. Civilians pour from the skull of their fallen few. Lost coordinate view, lost sanity, insanity. Where demons are thieving, sons of anarchy. Bees will bub, breathing panicky. Dreaming drastically as a ghost dream eats the amity. Dark history sank the masters, follow the rhapsody. Bow to your gravity, the titans, your majesty. Reign over Tammany, Slovakian savageries. Tear down the canopy, and oh, the blasphemy. As they paint a slut's gash, that spit on them. Imposters in stock and zip toxins. Tick goblins with thick bottoms. In 6 options of this Sodom. Big Nick knockers, snip whip off them. Pimp off it. Twin sovereigns just burst from inner city coffins.
Good evening. This is Orion's Reach Radio, podcast number 2. I am Animus, your host. It is the 21st of the 1st, 2016, and it is 3:14 a.m. First off, in world news, 20 dead in Pakistan, university attack. Officials say the death toll after a militant attack on a university in northwest Pakistan could rise to as much as 40. So, I hope everyone's okay over there. Pope urges Davos to consider poverty. The Pope has told delegates at the World Economic Forum in Davos, that they must consider their own role in creating inequality and poverty. Spike Lee not calling for Oscars boycott. Director Spike Lee says a plan is needed to ensure racial equality in Hollywood after no black actors were nominated for this year's Academy Awards. This could suggest that Hollywood is a racist, devilish tunnel of deceit and complete corruption underneath the shell of the pretty exterior that is bums walking around in the street and heroin addicts stabbing you for a shilling. Or it could just mean that, well, maybe there was no black actors nominated because no one was worth a nomination. Maybe, I don't know. Let's just weigh up many perspectives. Let's not just assume that, possibly there is just... Okay, look, racism exists. Let's say that. But let's not say that, Hollywood's racist. I mean, I believe they are. I'm I don't know why I'm defending them. I'm having a debate with myself. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going insane. And you're listening to me. So you must be even more insane than I am. Which is why it brings me to do this. Because I feel we can share something together. Unlike Hollywood and their Academy Awards, they can't seem to share them with black people at all. So anyway, my condolences out to the 20 dead in Pakistan. The Pope issue, I don't really give a fuck. Spike Lee, I think that's an appropriate call out, but at the same time, you know, I urge black actors to perform incredibly well before their next possible nominations for any type of awards, Academy Awards, anything like that. Smash it, man. Smash it out the park. Black actors, you guys, you know, like everyone ethnically, if we're going to be actors, we all need to act together. Because if we're not acting together, what are we doing? We're dissociating. Anyway, moving on. Austria to slash asylum claims. The number of people allowed to apply for asylum in Austria will be limited to 1.5% of the population over the next 4 years. So, I mean, people are obviously in need to leave, you know, in need to find refuge during these times of human degradation. Adele, Kendrick Lamar lined up for the Grammys. The Grammys are pulling out the big guns, with Adele to join Kendrick Lamar on the weekend for the Grammy show, February 15th. To be honest, I want to kind of like say, don't watch this shit. Fuck Adele, fuck Kendrick Lamar. Like, to be honest, I think you guys should know that it's just all bullshit. The fact that we watch a show that these actors aren't acting in, they're just getting awards. Like, they're already rich, dude. They're, you know, they're already well known, they're renowned. They're doing, you know, good things amongst their circles, but, or, you know, unless you're Lindsay Lohan, they're doing great things. Oh, I won't say great. They're doing things. That's better. They're doing things, and I'm not sure we really need to make a fucking show where how much are they spending on the show? Like, literally, you could be spending that money that you spend to set up a whole Grammy Awards ceremony and the cameras and the publication and all the organization. You'd be spending that money and, I don't know, helping people that are addicted to certain drugs, you know, helping the homeless, you know, but instead these people just want to, you know, make a show for the people that act on screen, that get a lot of money, and then eventually get more money from the process of publicizing an award ceremony. It's pointless. So fuck the Grammys, and fuck Adele, and fuck Kendrick Lamar. Moving on. Suicide bombing in Kabul kills 4 people. See, this is all very like, okay, you know, you got your first topic, 20 dead in Pakistan. You got your next one on the way down. Pope urges Davos to consider poverty. Then the whole racial Spike Lee and the Oscars boycott. Then you got Austria / claims. Then you got Grammys. How is that news? How is Adele, Kendrick Lamar news? That's not news. I'm going to rip on them a bit more. Fuck them. It's not news. And then you got suicide bombing in Kabul kills 4 people. You know, I think that's a bit kind of like more appropriate, but at the same time, all this shit is negative. So what you've just heard is the world as you shouldn't hear it. There's these, there's an awareness side to the whole news, but if you're consistently watching the news, tuning in at home at prime time, fucking get home from work, getting couch lock, and you just news out for like the first hour, have tea, whatever you want to do, sit with the family, watch news. What you're doing is reprogramming your mind. You hear about terrible things that happen, and unless you have a brilliant sense of, I'll say a brilliant sense of critical thinking skills and the ability to analyze the information you're absorbing and then to dissect it for yourself and take it with a fucking grain of salt, instead of actually just I say a lot of people just believing the shit. And I'm not saying it's, fake or non-believable, but what I'm saying is that it's not something you should concern yourself with to the point where you should feel distraught about it. Like, the amount of shit that happens, 7 billion people live on this planet. Every 3 seconds someone's born, every 4 seconds someone dies, So, should we really publicize every terrible story that exists? So you, at home, you sitting in your comfy couch and in your consumerist living room and decorated with your fine ornaments that you've worked hard for, should you be made to feel this guilt whilst you sit upon your own throne? Like, I think that's kind of bullshit. And I call bullshit on the news. I want to call out the news. I want to say, you guys are fucking idiots. But at the same time, smooth move on corrupting the entire human race. But honestly, when it comes down to it, all this that I've read you right now is my exact example of what we shouldn't be doing. Is concerning ourselves too much, investing ourselves too much. Yes, it's good to know. Yes, it's appropriate that we all know what's going on, that we're constantly connected to each other, but due to this constant connection, there seems to be a disconnection within ourselves, within what we understand. See, man, like, if you concern yourself with the world and the way the world is at the point, you're going to only worry about that. You're going to become the political type. You might even become a radical activist. The point is, and I inspire activists, I suggest you guys rise up, form a rebellion, and take out your nearest parliament figure. But in all honesty, I don't feel the need that we should concern ourselves with all this horror that we are surrounded by, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of ignorance is bliss in the world. And I mean, like, you can either choose to be ignorant and live a blissful existence, but the thing is, man, like, what are you going to do? Are you actually going to make a difference? If you're sitting at home with, your VB stubby in between your legs, and you're just chilling back, you're doing nothing, you're just having a sip. If you're doing this on a regular basis and just watching the news, like, you're not really doing anything, you're just absorbing what's going on, feeling bad, continuing to drink, continuing to work this fucking slave job that the society that we live in has currently programmed into your mind. They've pried it into you. They've really force-fed it into your sphincter, and it's really worked its way up through your spine, destroyed your courage, and now it's embedded in the base of your fucking cerebellum. This dirty trick that they've done, society that we're currently existing in, it's really reprogrammed the mind of human beings to revolve around a routine. We don't wake up whenever we want, unless you're a bum, apparently. But we don't wake up whenever we want and roam the street, or walk around in a paddock and just, exist, basically. Be happy and exist. Have nothing to worry about. Have no job, no obligation really to worry about. Even if you have a family, I could imagine a place where you would live. There's this house, this beautiful meadow. You got a family, but you don't have a job, but you got a farm. You earn money from selling your crop, or, trading your crop, whatnot, for goods and services in the local village. So, man, I want to take it back to that. And maybe I'm an old schooler. I'm so old school, I'm still caught in a cave making tools. I recorded this in a cave 6 billion years ago, and I've just uploaded this now because I've only had access to this type of technology through time travel. My point being is that should we really revolve around a routine? I could, like I was saying, I could picture a beautiful house and a beautiful meadow, a family, and they could trade goods and whatnot. Where in the society we exist in today, you're constantly fed into this loop of like having to work, having to earn your keep. And ever since, fairly sure it was Napoleon that abolished the, I can't remember exactly what it's titled, but the idea of royalty being soldiers. You don't have to. He abolished that, Napoleon. You don't have to be a soldier now with royal bloodline. You can be a civilian and be a soldier in the army of your choosing. So pick a side, everyone, pick a side, because the impending apocalypse is approaching. But on the other side of it, like, you've got your routine, you're earning your keep, you're happy, you're looking after your family, you've built up your own empire throughout your entire life. But what do? You work your ass to the bone, you fucking destroy yourself, and then for all this money that you save up, so then when you get to an age, you're literally hooked up to machines. Now, what are you doing? You're paying for that machine. You're paying for the services and the hospital and the repairs to your body and the cyber upgrades. And, becoming a cyborg mum and dad, feeding their kids with nanotech breast milk, this is the world we're going to live in. This is the world we currently inhabit. Is that really happy? Is that really society? And is that really how we're meant to treat each other? With this constant routine, like, go to work, fucking work, go home, sleep, go to work, rinse, repeat. Like, that's a sad existence, to be honest. Maybe this is just me repeating the depressing reality that we live in, kind of like the news that I am against brutally. But I guess these are just things that are on top of my brain. Anyway, moving on. In further news, physicists say consciousness might be a state of matter. It's not enough to have a brain. Consciousness, a hallmark of humans, mammals, birds, and even octopus, is the mysterious force that makes all those neurons and synapses tick and merge into you. It's what makes you alert and sensitive to your surroundings, and it's what helps you see yourself as separate from everything else. But neuroscientists still don't know what consciousness is, or how it's even possible. Consciousness. See, we can hypothesize what consciousness may be. It could be a state of matter. It could just, a lot of the time I hear people suggesting that consciousness, this consciousness that we have, this awareness, this supreme understanding of all that is and all that will be, and not even in the intellectual manner, the spiritual manner itself as well. Consciousness is explained by a few people that I know to be a systematic byproduct of our makeup genetically and our mind itself. Basically, consciousness, apparently, to a few people I know, and maybe a decent percentage of the world, I'm not sure, consciousness seems to... I haven't done a survey, maybe I'll start one up on SurveyMonkey, but maybe consciousness, apparently, is this thing that, it's just this byproduct. It's, we evolved into this creature, and consciousness is not really consciousness, it's just we've evolved to this point, basing everything off the evolution theory, if that is the case. Personally, I feel consciousness is, I don't know, it's a bit of a, we're getting to we're getting to limits of science, where science, and there's a legitimate article wrote about this on a legitimate science site that is legit. I really approve of it, apparently. But no, I think consciousness, because science is getting to its limits, consciousness still can't be explained as a state of matter. There's many things that we can't explain. And philosophical quotes really have stood out, where physics can't, or science can't really explain those quotes at all. What is? I think, therefore I am. I mean, consciousness, if it's a state of matter, could be a kind of a depressing outlook on it. It's more textbook, but I don't think everything's textbook. You can't look at everything that surrounds us with one skill set, with one category of understanding. You can't look at everything from just science. Even though science has explained a lot, it can't fully explain art, really, can it? I mean, you can explain certain concepts and how a person performs art and what it does to the brain and all that, but that's just the physical world of it. There's a different world as an artist, as someone that draws, someone that is a musician, and someone that's just generally a lover of art and a photographer and all that jazz, and a lover of jazz. See, as an artist, I feel connected to certain things, and that could be explained from science and all that stuff, but the thing is, these feelings and impulses and emotions, which can be apparently explained by science, these things are more so a part of many people. We share these things, but at the same time we all have different interpretations of it. But at the same time, we all know what it is. When we're children, we don't know math fully to the extent of Albert Einstein, but we do draw. We paint with our hands. We make mud pies in the sand. We use our imagination. So, with art, it's something we all just kind of do. It's built into our mind, our consciousness. Our consciousness is a part of it. You're conscious that how you see the world is this way. I'm conscious that how I see the world when I get onto a bus, in my mind, because of my fucking vivid imagination, I'm seeing everyone in a different place. I'm not on a bus going through a city. I'm on a bus on a sun-bleached desert, powering through the dust and debris in this wasteland inhabited by various tribes and various wanderers, and I'm just a fellow wanderer. We are all just fellow wanderers. In my mind, that's what's playing through, and there's this, I let my mind wander. I don't stick to the logical side of things all the time, simply because I don't feel we should use one area in every life. We shouldn't sharpen just the intellect. We should also incorporate many aspects of the spectrum that make up us and what we do to understand the world. So I don't think we should just try to understand consciousness through science. I think we should try to understand consciousness through art, consciousness through, yes, science. That's just the physical mathematics to it. We can understand it through, we can understand consciousness through English. We can understand it through very, very many different subjects. And I'm not talking academic subjects, because academics are just another routine that we're bred into. We're bred to be these machines that take information, print it out on paper, perform an essay, pass these skills on, become a lecturer, pass these skills on further, become a fucking worker, pass these things on to people at work through social work. You need help here. This is what I've learned. Basically, consciousness is this thing that we are all a part of, though, too. How can science explain how we're all becoming more aware of things? Yes, there's an increase in the information. We are in the information era, the age of information, the age of the internet. But I think we neglect the whole idea of where we actually are right now. See, when we are all sharing similar ideas, yet when you walk up to people in the street and you might not even watch the same shows, have the same interests, but you share the same points of view. One person might not have watched the news at all, one person might come from the middle of the forest, one person might be wired into the news, but at the same time is open-minded. You pick someone from this current generation, Generation X, Generation Y, these seem to be the ones that are seemingly connected, but we all share consciousness. My point is, we all share consciousness. And you take a Generation X and Generation Y baby from complete different parts of the world, they can share similar views. And I mean, if they're sharing similar views, how is that possible? How can, that be a state of matter? I don't think really just because that person's a human, that they're a human, well, genetically they're built to experience this. But when it was the fucking 1960s, our granddads were putting our grandmothers in front of the window in the kitchen so they can scrub the fucking dishes because they're working all day. They bring the fucking bacon. They bring the bacon and the mum cleans, apparently. That was the mind state back then. That was the consciousness level. We've leveled up to a point where we actually appreciate each other. We understand more. We understand that. I think it's through retrospect that we actually can learn from this shit. Oh, that was bad. Sexism. Oh, okay. Well, we want equality now. So we look back on these things, we understand, and I feel like only a true person can grow from retrospect, from looking back on their life, from taking a moment, from understanding their decisions they've made, where they are, what they've done, but not being egotistical to oneself, stripping yourself of your ego and analysing yourself completely neutral, on a neutral slate, with no emotions being confuzzled in that analysis of oneself and what one's done, what one's been through. So my point is, I go on tangents. I should call this tangent radio, but I am on my own, so it's hard to stay on topic when I'm slowly seeping into the cracks of insanity. My mind is warping, decaying, beautiful love organism of mechanical, desperate understanding that we all share. Consciousness is something we all share. 1800s, 1700s, I can't recall his name. He was a political theorist. Karl Marx? Yeah, Marx. Karl Marx. Yeah, 1883. He died 14th of March. Rest in peace, dude. Born 5th, 1818, Trier, Germany, and died 14th of March, 1883. Karl Marx was a German philosopher, economist, sociologist, journalist, and revolutionary socialist. Born in Prussia, must be Russia when there was a bit of pressure. He later became stateless and spent much of his life in Lisbon. Karl Marx was one of the few people in the 1800s to understand where politics and the economy and the way society is now, where it is going to head. So back then, he had an understanding of what it is, where it's going to go. This guy's a pretty smart dude. But I think with Karl, he was a part of a percentage. Back then, and I've done my research, back then, there was about, I'll estimate, there's about 8% of the world that, well, let's just say 6% to be dramatic. There's 6% of the world that were kind of understanding and aware, like Karl Marx. They understood the world in certain ways. They were aware of what's happening around them, not feeding into the bullshit, not being a part of it. Now, in today's society, in 2016, that estimated 6% is now at an estimated, say, 12%. So we've doubled in around that amount of time, in about 200 years. And I think that's due to consciousness. We share this collective consciousness. Our consciousness as a whole human race is boosting. We're connecting to one another more on similar topics. The understanding of unity is you don't see every white person treating every black person with like a racial slur. You might in certain parts of the world, but from my corner of the globe, in this spiraling out of control galaxy that we are quite humbly spinning through right now, I don't see that. You know, I've heard racist remarks, but you know, the point is that we're not dissociating from one another. We're connecting, we're aware, and we're trying to make a difference now. There still is, like, you got your classic rednecks and whatnot, you got your classic bigots, but these bigots, people like me, people like you, hopefully, we share similar views. We understand that bigots that, you know, slur racial bullshit to someone, they're out of order. There's a respect. Yes, you know, you're entitled to your own opinion or whatever, but that's not even opinion. Saying that, you know, this and that about this person because of their ethnicity, stereotypes and whatnot, that's not an opinion. That's just fucking bullshit and offensive. It's something it's just like sexism back in the 1960s, you know, 1950s and shit. I think the consciousness, though, we all share it, and if our consciousness as human beings is being shared on the planet Earth, then maybe the solar system's consciousness is being shared with the entire galaxy, and maybe so on. From what I've understood through use of lysogenic acid, DMT and psilocybin mushrooms, and ridiculous amounts of cannabis, what I've understood is that we understand the world through different perspectives, and these perspectives that we understand the world through, we have sculpted through the things that we've been through. I understand the world, and when I'm saying the world, I mean the world, the solar system, the galaxy, the quadrant of the universe we inhabit, and the universe itself, and the multiverses, and the whatever's beyond that. I believe we all share each other. We're all connected in some sort of way. Like we are. Physically, if physicists want to say that consciousness might just be a state of matter, well, atoms are a state of matter. Atoms transfer every 6-7 years or something like that in the human body. We get new atoms. So really, we're all being recycled of one another's organs and matter, space, dust, stardust. We're pretty much made of the exact same stuff. The atoms from there traveled into us. We're all a part of everything. So, I mean, consciousness being a state of matter, it might be, but at the same time, there's always something behind that, something further that can't, you know, like I said, science is getting to a point where it can't explain everything. But also, in further news, and speaking of cannabis, extensive twin study finds no link between marijuana use and IQ decline in teens. I guess this is good news for the average potheads out there. And I'm going to say that I don't think it does. If anything, it depends. I feel like everything in balance. If you eat too many cheeseburgers, you're going to be obese. If you drink too much water, you're going to destroy yourself. If you smoke too much weed, you become too lazy. If you smoke no weed, well, you don't really you might not have a place to relax. If you find yourself smoking weed, then I say keep that in balance with everything. Find balance. Never do it during the day. That's what I've understood. Fuck smoking weed during the day. It just makes you lazy as shit. You don't want to do shit. You got things to do. Get what you need to do done during the day. Comes nighttime, if you want to smoke, you fucking smoke up. You do your thing. You have, your relaxation time. You might write music. You might masturbate, Pornhub. You might jump on chat roulette. You might do all sorts of seedy shit. Marijuana does not do that to you. MDMA does that to you. But if you smoke at night, you conserve it for that time, but you just got to have a balance. And it's like that with everything. I would say always govern everything by balance, because when you govern everything by balance, you have a better understanding. You're not spiraling out of control. It's just basic. It's basic philosophy that we all should, this is philosophy of the self. Everyone should, really understand. Everyone should really develop for themselves. I got this, other article. Freaky devil tree in Ohio burns from the inside out. At the end of last year, a truck driver in Ohio stumbled upon this eerie-looking tree, which was blackened on the outside and filled with glowing red-hot flames within. The Blair Witch Project-style footage has since gone viral to the not unexpected cries of, "OMG, it's the devil's work." But trees burning from the inside out, like this one, aren't actually the uncommon. And there's always a scientific explanation for how they end up looking gateway to hell. We're approaching desperate times, incredibly dark and alarming occurrences are surrounding our neighborhoods, like devil trees burning. I could imagine there would be a scientific explanation, but at the same time, maybe it's on fire on the inside because it's got heartburn. It's a devil tree. Devil trees generally emit some sort of devil activity, and devil is just a word. It's just a word, man. So, smoke that on a balance and stick it in your ring hole. But I think at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, all this stuff is completely irrelevant that I've really spoken to you about, aside balance, improving oneself, and being aware of what is around you and analyzing everything with many aspects. These are the tools I want to pass on to you guys. These are things that have helped me understand the world to a greater degree, but not only that, helped understand myself to a better point. So now I can help people around me, and I'm not crippled. I'm not a wounded person dragging my corpse along because I'm trying to drag other people's, because I haven't had time to mend myself. I figured out how to be independent, do this. Now I want to pass these skills on that I understand are very important to you guys. So govern balance with everything. Take everything with a grain of salt. Understand everything yourself and everything surrounding you externally and internally and spiritually. Understand that from many perspectives, not just one. As Da Vinci did, he looked at everything from at least 3 perspectives. And finally, I want to say that breakdance on hot coals with your face. It's incredibly entertaining for people that are bystanders, and it's an intensive activity, so intense that you will be placed in a special victims unit. You might need skin from your posterior to be masked and grafted onto your what used to be face. I want to end tonight's podcast just with a little something I've wrote, and this is, I generally just write little pieces here and there, but yeah, this is something I want to share. So anyway, as we wait for the apocalyptic end of the world, many of us are actually out drinking and partying it up and destroying our bodies and living today like it's our last, when really it will be if you continue to poison yourself. This is dedicated to the alcoholic, drug frenzied teenagers and adults out there that are still so persistent in living a routine of complete disarray. Enjoy. 1,000 dead pigeons decay under the decadent futurism you stumbled through, disorderly. Intoxicated memory foam fractals spill from the ears of the unheard voices of today, spilling, dripping and melting into primordial ooze. Forgotten in unquenched time, at the base of a warped anesthetized loafers. Frisk for belongings. Pat for the memoirs that are bound to who you are before this hellish transient night removes your very soul. Cold panic sweats stream upward over your curled and contorted vertebra. The ensemble of circus freaks have now absolved into the untamed void, devoured by the jaws of this electric playground. A stampeding beast no mere mortal can mount, galloping into the torn space fabric at the center of the galaxy. This has been podcast number 2. It's now 4 a.m. in the morning. It's still the 21st of the 1st, 2016. I really hope that everyone enjoyed. Pass your wisdom on. Don't listen to the media. Fuck the Grammys. Fuck Kendrick Lamar. And breakdance with your face on coals. And govern everything with balance. This is Animus. I want to bid you farewell. Hey, 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 hey. Smoke weed every day. Peace.
Sunrise massing on my window pane sends fire scouting through my brain. Sunrise turns my face to burning brass and my eyes to molten glass. I've got a long day to live. Don't know if I'll make it, but I'll try not to cry. Sunshine, early morning light is still, colors creeping up the hill. Sunshine, people shuffling down the street, sleep still dragging at their feet. And it's time to start thinking about the things I gotta do all day through. Almost worn my mind away. I knew sunshine beating on my head, scorching till your face is dead. It's your own fault, woman. You shouldn't have tried to get inside of my hide. Sunset, now the light is fading fast and another day is past. Sunset, now your face comes back to life, carving like a Sunday knife. If this pain is love, it's almost more than I can stand to be a man.